We are live. Jack hit the live button. Thank you, Jack, for doing that when I asked you not to do it. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, Welcome back to another episode of the Colin Thompson Show. That is Jack Connell, and I am Colin Thompson. Yes, for those watching, I do look a little bit creepier today. I did shave my face for good reason, for very good reason. I'm going to get at it in a second, but I shaved my face for the first time, Jack, since my days at Archbishop Wood High School. Pretty crazy, man.
Dude, I even recognize you. When I saw the picture, like I had to do a double take when they posted the picture for tight ends day. I'm like, that can't be Colin, is it? I had to literally do a I was shocked, befuddled to say the least.
I've been getting ripped, made fun of. Very few people have said it looks good, and I appreciate those people that have said it looks good. So thank you to them. Yeah, it is. It's been funny. It's been funny to see the faces, the reactions of the people on the team that I've been going to work with now for 3 years, and then come in the one day and my face is completely shaven. It felt amazing. Shout out to Gillette, sponsor of the NFL. Could be potential sponsor of this show. I mean, amazing shave. First time I've shaved in, like I said, a really long time. I've always shaved my neck and all, but they're like really shave everything. The shower after was premier. Felt amazing on my face, like something I've never felt before because it's been so long. It's been so long. It's been 10 years. So yeah, shave the face and for good reason. We had the Bozeman's hosted a Halloween party for the team. I'm going to look it up right now because I want to make sure we give them a shout out. Yeah, here we go. I want to look it up to make sure we give their charity a shout out because it's unbelievable what they did. So Bradley and Nikki Bozeman have an amazing foundation. He's been up for Walter Payton Man of the Year. I mean, multiple times when he was in Baltimore. I know he was a finalist for here in Carolina. Bradley Bozeman's one of our offensive linemen. They've done an unbelievable job in their Charlotte community. They're great people. I'm going to read this here. The duo established the Bradley and Nikki Bozeman Foundation in 2018, but they've been making an impact on lives since they were student athletes at Alabama. Following a speaking engagement to educate middle schoolers on the impact of bullying, the two realized they wanted to use their platform to give back to educate others. Since then, they've visited hundreds of schools and talked to over 100,000 students about the dangers of bullying, the importance of accepting differences in others. Most recently, the Bosemans have established the SYNC snack program, which provides meaningful food and academic support to children living in disadvantaged communities. The foundation partners with local police departments, including Charlotte Mecklenburg Police, which then distributes boxes that contain self-sustainable food. The boxes also have QR codes placed on the outside, which link back to educational resources, leadership, healthy lifestyle programming, as well as the Bozeman Foundation online library of anti-bullying. So if you can, you have the means. Cindy and I we can't try to support what they have going on enough. Check out the Bradley and Nikki Bozeman Foundation. They had an awesome Halloween party for us, for the team. Last night at Fahrenheit in Uptown Charlotte. It was fantastic. And they had amazing silent auctions. They had just a really cool, situation. It gives the team a chance to be together outside of the facility, which is always a really special thing. But we're talking renting this huge rooftop bar restaurant. I mean, they rented out half of it. I know Fahrenheit donated a ton to them, and all for the foundation. There was probably 25 players there, 30 players there, significant others. And then the nice thing about it, which I thought was really unique, was guests could pay and support the foundation and come to the Halloween party. So it wasn't just players and staff members only. There was a mix of, just people, normal folks just coming to the event, not a part of, our workplace, our job, our team. So that was really unique. And I know they raised a bunch of money. I don't want to speak for the number, but I know they raised thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for their foundation, which is an awesome foundation. So congrats. I shouldn't say congrats. I should say thank you to the Bosemans because they just do amazing work, and their foundation, again, check it out. It's the Sync Foundation and the Bradley and Nikki Bozeman Foundation. Please support if you can. So I buried the lead, Jack. But really what I was talking about, I shaved because for the Halloween party, I had to go with the Tony Soprano look. So the fresh shave, the slick back hair. I had my dad's old, 6-button double-breasted, whatever it is, suit, cigar in the mouth, big tie, just absolutely just loving it, having a great time. Sydney dressed as Mrs. Soprano. So it's a favorite show of Sydney and I, so we figured why not do it. Absolutely love the show. I've watched it multiple times now. Jack, you watched the show. You finally watched it, correct?
Yes, I did. I'm gonna say probably about a year ago. I watched it. I love The Sopranos. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. So I agree with you that one. The Pine Barrens episode is one of the best
Unbelievable.
episodes in the history of
He's an
television in
interior
general.
decorator. His house was a mess. He was an interior decorator. No, it's a great show. Awesome show. So I had to do that. Had to do that. So I had a good time. That's why the voice is a little hoarse today, Jack. Not as bad as it's been on this show from some of the other times I've had at some bigger weekends. But yeah, DJ the whole nine. You're trying to talk to people. I'm always going to lose my voice. I do all the time. So you had a great time for a great cause, and was fun to dress up and let loose. We won, which was great. 2 wins in the season so far. It's not been the season we wanted. Obviously, that's a shocker. But yeah, it was good to get a great win against the Bucks, right? And then we go to Atlanta, a chance to stay undefeated in our division, which is really important to us. We beat New Orleans in week 3, I believe, week 3. So yeah, it's no surprise, Jack. It's been an up and down season there, or I should say that's a surprise, but no hot take, I should say, that it's been an up and down season, and it's been tough. But to get a win, for our team, for Coach Wilkes, who's awesome, for the organization, it was really big for us at home against Tom Brady and the Bucks. So we got to keep it moving because it only gets harder and harder. That's the NFL season. It keeps going. So, Jack, your Eagles, what have they been up to?
So they had a bye week this week. They go back in action this Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers, kind of just resting, recuperating. And then, of course, the following week in the midst of the World Series, they play, of course, the Houston Texans on Thursday Night Football, the one day off from the World Series while they switch home field. So that will be exciting to watch as the Eagles continue in the stretch for their, I guess, technically almost the second half of their season. It's crazy to think that we're already talking about almost the second half of the NFL season already.
If someone listens to this show and goes to and hears about this and goes to a game in Houston, goes to a Astros game, and then goes to the Texans game, Eagles, and then comes back home and goes to the is it the other way around? Should it be? Is it that way?
It's 2-3-2 Houston, and then Philly back to Houston.
So then they would go Houston. They would go if a Philly sports fan, we're going to give them some merch. Have to if they tell us about it and take a picture or whatever. But there'll definitely be a Philly sports fan that will go to a Houston Astros game, then a Houston Texans Eagles game, and then they're going to go home and then watch the Phillies play at home. I'm assuming that will happen. Just assume. Has to happen. There's somebody that's going to do it. Why not? They can do it. So, so awesome stuff. I mean, it's been a great run, right? I'm not going to bury the lead here. The matchups brought to you by Wealth Advisory Services. If you don't know them, you should. Check them out, wealthadvisoryservices.com. Unbelievable treatment, first class, 100 years of experience, like I've talked about before on the show many, many times. Paul, Dave, and their team have been just awesome to us. As a young investor, as talking to my friends that are older investors, I'm really close with Paul. They're just nothing. There's not anything better than really the communication, the relationship building, the trust, which is so important. Obviously, your money, but just with your family finances, generational wealth. You're trying to create different things. You're trying to start with a little bit of money, or you have a ton of money, whatever that is. They're the right people, and they were people across the country. So wealthadvisoryservices.com. Check them out. Get in touch with us. And we'll put them in touch with you. The matchup of the week, Jack, has to be the World Series, right? The World Series is coming. The Phillies have become the hottest team in baseball, obviously. Shocker, not a hot take, but they have been. They become the hottest team in baseball. They went from a wild card team that everybody liked to match up against St. Louis. And then everybody liked the matchup first. Who they played in the second round? Atlanta. Thank you. Because Atlanta was had their home game at like 1:00 and no one was at the game. Thank you, MLB. We already talked about that enough. And then they like the matchup against San Diego because it's not the big bad LA Dodgers. And then all of a sudden, here we go. You got Houston. So this is a matchup now that's a tough one. It's not the draw that I think they've had so far. It's the World Series. This is the best team in baseball they're facing. That's been really a perennial kind of powerhouse in baseball over the last few years. A cheating scandal or not, whatever. You still got to hit the ball. You still got to field the position, and that team is really, really good. They have great pitching. They have great hitting. They have a great ballpark. I could argue it's nothing like Philly, but it is an indoor, so you're going to have a lot of, it's going to be loud. And if they open up the roof, it depends on. I know the Yankees were complaining about the roof because the wind was blowing some balls in and not out. But I mean, Houston hit all runs that game too, so it's kind of a tough argument. But yeah, the matchup of the week this week brought to you by Wealth Advisory Services. It's a World Series, Shaq. I mean, I think it's safe to say. Are you excited to watch the World Series or what, man?
Oh, I'm pumped. The excitement around the city is immeasurable. I was old enough to remember the 2008 World Series being, I think, like third grade when that happened. The excitement around the city, it's very similar to that. I mean, those are pretty much the last 2 times the Phillies have been really dominant and the whole city's really cared about them, and it's well deserving. I mean, they are so good. I mean, they are, like you said, they're getting hot at the right time. I'm far from a baseball expert, like I've said numerous times before. Any of my baseball opinions, I just ask JA, and whatever he says, I just parrot. So I'm just really excited to watch these upcoming games. I mean, it's been literally drive to school the other day. I tried to stop by Dick's Sporting Goods in Rally House, and there was first off, Dick's Sporting Goods was sold out of everything. This was 10 a.m. the morning after. Dick's Sporting Goods was already sold out of everything, and Rally House didn't open for an hour later. And there was like a 50 person wait out the door for Phillies gear at Rally House. And I get back after my class at like 1 o'clock, tried to check again. The line somehow doubled and the store was open. So I didn't even bother. I'll try to check in the next day or so to get a World Series hat, but it has been insane down here.
What does that tell you though? Like, I know this, the fan base is fragile. Like we all are, because we don't watch every at bat all season long. So you know the players, but the vast majority of people really don't know the day to day. Like the other day, it's like, wow, a pin could drop here because the Padres hit a home run, in Citizens Bank Park, and then it's all back to normal because the Phillies are back again. It's like it's not a lot of diehards. It's a lot of people that jump on the bandwagon, right? I don't think people want to admit that they're big Phillies fans. They love the Phillies, but they're really like dive into them. Like people watch the Eagles, Flyers, Sixers. It's just different with baseball. I think it's a different atmosphere. It's more of a casual watching audience than a diehard. But now with baseball, people dive right in. Like I remember the same thing when I was a kid, Jack. 08, like it was Modell's and Schuylkill Valley Sports would be like packed. You couldn't even move to get like just a hat that says postseason baseball on it, like, or whatever it was. So no, yeah, it's good fond memories for me. So yeah, the matchup this week brought to you by Wealth Advisory Services, the World Series. I can't wait to watch it. Would love to try to get to a game. We'll see if our schedule allows it. But it's pretty crazy. My wife's from Houston. I'm from Philly. So it's going to be a good thing for our families this weekend, kind of cheering and talking smack back and forth to each other. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited for it. I buried the lead per usual, Jack. And I didn't realize till I said I buried the lead a couple minutes ago. We have Ken Cage coming on today. We have the Ken Cage coming on. Everyone says, well, Ken Cage, that name, it rings a bell. It should. Airplane Repo, the famous TV show. For those that have watched it, if you haven't, go watch it. It is fantastic. Essentially, the show's about people repossessing items, right? They can't make a payment. Here comes Ken and his team. They're not knocking on your door. They're going behind your back and they're taking the plane. They're taking the car. They're taking the boat. Ken tells stories about some of the craziest things he's repoed, the most expensive things he's repoed, the weirdest things he's repoed, people shooting at him, people chasing him, boat chases, you name it. Ken's got great stories. He's a local to the Philadelphia area and just truly a great guy. He was so gracious with his time, had a lot going on, jumped on a couple of weeks ago. And I really think you're going to enjoy the Ken Cage interview. Just a fun interview. Like I said many times on the show before, we want to be different. We don't want to be always about sports. Ken's a good mix-up. Now, Ken's a big sports fan, and we talk about sports. But, again, he is someone who's repoed millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of items. And he's got some great stories dealing with some really weird people. So I think you'll enjoy this interview. It's a good little mix-up. So another matchup I have this week, Jack, brought to you by Wealth Advisory Services, is the Rams and the Niners. It's a big rivalry now when it comes to who's going to come out of the NFC over the last couple of years. C-Max, obviously with the Niners now. We're going to get into that here a little bit. But C-Max with the Niners now. And, it adds a little more juice to that game. 2 weeks ago, we just played the Rams. And he had a great game against the Rams. So anticipate the same thing out of him. He's just an absolute stud. I'm going to get into him in a minute here. kind of say our farewell from the podcast and wish them nothing but the best. But yeah, matchup for me is Rams and Niners this week. They're two teams that are really well coached, that have really good rosters, that are fighting to come out of that NFC West, and that's loaded with some good teams. So yeah, that's my big matchups for this week. Jack, anything jump off the table for you? I think the Steelers and Eagles is a big matchup. It's a PA, big rivalry game. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it'll be a big test for Kenny Pickett, see how he does against a really good Eagles defense. Packers Bills is another interesting game if Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay can bounce back and strike against Josh Allen, the red hot Bills. So those are pretty much the two games that jump out to me. Really, I mean, it's definitely after a very exciting last few weeks, it's definitely a more tame slate of NFL games this weekend, in my opinion.
They'll still be great. They'll still find a way to be awesome. There'll still be fireworks. I think the one thing to keep in mind too is the trade deadline's coming. So we're starting to see some trades, see some movement. Obviously, the big piece was Christian McCaffrey, and we're going to get into that now. Forever and always, a Bus One member brought to you by Fudge Kitchen, the original fudgekitchen.com. Fudgekitchens.com, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country. It is time. It is that time of year. It is October 25th. Halloween is here. Thanksgiving is here. Christmas is on the way. So it is time to start shipping fudge to your friends. We're giving away fudge on Halloween at the door. We're giving away fudge. Why not? It is delicious. It is fresh. It is made fresh daily. It has got that just local Jersey Shore product, the great saltwater taffy, all the sweet treats, the chocolates, everything. They ship it all. Any Bus One member is always brought to you by fudgekitchens.com. And primarily this guy, it always will be a Bus One member brought to you by the original Fudge Kitchen, is Christian McCaffrey. C-Mac will always be a Bus One member and always be welcome on this show, obviously. Christian got traded last week, pretty obvious, and he played right away, not a shocker, and had a really pretty big impact, at least in the first half there when I was watching the game, on the game this past weekend. It was really tough to see him go. He's become a friend. We've gotten close. Our wives and girlfriends have gotten close. We've gotten to know him and his family a little bit. That's the tough part of this sport. He's giving me advice about life, about football, about being a better person, about work ethic, about training habits. He's come on the show and talked about those things. So it was really tough to see him go, but I just couldn't be happier for him to go to a great, great place. You could argue probably not a better fit in the NFL for his skill set. All the story about the Shanahans and the McCaffreys and all that, that's awesome. Don't get me wrong. But that guy right there, C-Mac, wants to win Super Bowls. He wants to win rushing titles. And he can do it, and he will do it. I firmly believe that. I don't believe he's an injury-prone player. Everybody says that crap. No. Injury-prone players are lazy and not dialed in. This guy is so dialed in. This guy works extremely hard. He's a freaking awesome teammate. He's an elite competitor, and he's one of the best people I've ever been around. So I will miss that, and I do miss that in our locker room. We all do. The whole organization does. It's no secret. I mean, 22 is he was the face of the team. Every jersey in the stands is 22. So rightfully so. The guy's just been electric, nothing short of it. He's had a little bumpy road with some injuries the last couple of years, but that's not who he is as a player. I think we'll all look back and be like, yeah, he had a couple of years there, but the guy's going to be a Hall of Famer, in my opinion, and he's going to get there, and he couldn't be in a better place to go do it. So I'm so happy for C-Mac. We'll miss you, brother. We'll get you on the show soon. And C-Mac's always going to be a Bus One member for us here, brought to you by the original Fudge Kitchen. Jack, you grew up watching Christian. You've heard me talk about him a lot. What type of damage do you think he can do out there with the Niners?
I think he'd be really great. I think him and Deebo Samuel are they're somewhat similar, but they're both very big and dual threat. Obviously, Christian's incredible in the receiving game, primarily running back, opposite of Deebo Samuel. But adding that versatility to their offense, it just adds another level. Like you said, he made such a big impact, and he's only been in that system for what? One practice, two practices?
That's it. Yeah.
And he was already that good for San Francisco. It's going to be interesting to see how great he is. And as their kind of core develops over the next few years between him, Trey Lance, Deebo, who's I think locked into a big contract this past offseason. So George Kittle, obviously. It's going to be great to see that offense in full motion. Especially, what's that?
Ayuk is pretty good too.
Brandon Ayuk, I can't forget him. They're just all really talented and locked in for several years. So great job by John Lynch to kind of lock in that core for them for the foreseeable future.
Hell of a core, man. Hell of a core. And they're fun to watch. I watch all their games every week. I like the way their tight ends play. So I try to pick things up and I watch the film on them. And they're just unreal. George Kittle's the best tight end on the planet. It's not even a question. We're going to get into the tight end day. We might as well. I believe Travis Kelce and him in the same amount of catches and receiving yards this weekend on National Tight Ends Day. How cool is that? Those guys have spearheaded this tight end U thing with Greg Olsen, and they have created National Tight Ends Day. George Kittle did. It's just really cool. It's really cool for the marketing and game. Obviously, it's, for us, I'm excited because I'm a tight end and, we get all the perks of what those guys do for all of us. It's awesome. It's just unique, such a big deal. We had an opportunity to wear all of the, some, I should say, of the great Panthers tight ends that came before us. The team hooked us up with jerseys to wear into the game. And I had Jeff King on, who's actually a scout for the Bears and one of the people that brought me into the Bears. And he played for the Panthers, obviously, back in the day. So I got to wear his big 47. There's a lot of guys, obviously, Greg Olsen. It was really cool. Ed Dixon to wear, see what player was going to wear what and kind of matches the type of player that we are, similarities, personality traits. Because some people in the building were with those guys when they were here in Carolina, and they kind of picked us to wear their jerseys, which is really cool. So Ian played with Greg Olsen, so Ian threw the Greg on. But just a really unique thing, the tight end day, tight end week, tight end university, all these things they're doing for this position and really bringing a lot of eyes to it is really good. It does a lot of good for the position. It does a lot of good for guys financially. It does a lot of good because I think the world knows how important tight ends are in offenses. Like every single offense has good tight ends now. You have to multiple. I said it before in the show, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At some points, you have depth and you have players and practice squad guys that are really good. So, it's really cool what they did. And I absolutely love what they got going on with tight end day.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. Like, again, like you said, it's really cool. Whether there's no like National Quarterback Day, no National Wide Receiver Day, they
don't need it. They don't need it.
It's cool to see everyone kind of have their respectful. Of course, Tommy had the great touchdown on National Tight End Day, which is cool to see too. So, I mean, it was great across the board for National. Great across the board.
Really was a great point, Jack. So, Bus One, CMAC, another Bus One member this week. We have a couple. We're not throwing anybody out of the bus, Jack. We're gonna be nice this week. Brought to you by the original Fudge Kitchen, fudgekitchens.com. Bus One member, whoever's in charge, whoever made the decision for the Flyers to have $1 dog night and $5 beers during the Phillies playoff games. That's fantastic. Bravo to the Flyers. Bravo to the Flyers. I have come on here and been very unhappy about how the Flyers are doing their business, but they are on a roll. They are 4-2. They are competitive. They have awesome goaltending. They will probably just miss the playoffs again this year and have a mid-first round draft pick, which won't land them a top premier player, which will stink. But I'll say this, it will be entertaining to watch them throughout the season because John Tortorella and their group have got them going. But shout out to the operations, whoever's in that building making that call. $1 dog night, $5 beer night. Just really, it's so smart because first off, people that don't know, all the stadiums and arenas are all next to each other where the Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, and Eagles play. Temple football plays there. There's a lot going on there. So it's really cool for those to feed off each other. Xfinity Live's in the middle. That's where you guys see all of the Phillies players partying and having a good time after games. It's right there at Xfinity Live, which is right in the middle of everything, which is this huge place with like 10 bars in it and restaurants and a great time. So, Jack, I was wondering if there's like a walkway or an alleyway, or is there like an underground tunnel between Citizens Bank Park and Xfinity Live?
I think there's got to be. I mean, it's just, regardless, you have to think it's not even a quarter mile of a walk between Citizens and Xfinity. It's like a block. It's nothing.
Oh, it's not even, it's nothing. It's a block. But it's not a bad walk, but I'm wondering if like players.
That's what I'm saying. Like the closer it is, the more likely there's a tunnel or something.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's a good point. So, I love the Flyers doing $1 dog night. They're Bus One members so far this year. They could be under the bus here by halfway point, which I wouldn't be. I don't really care which direction the Flyers go this year because they're either going to play great, make the playoffs, which they would be just crazy because they just don't have like the talent compared to these other teams, but they're really playing well under Tortorella. They're in great shape. They're playing tough. They're playing physical. They have great goaltending. Or they get stuck in no man's land in the middle, but you know what? Hey, at least it was entertaining and they made a push. Or they tank and they get a great player because there's a lot of really good players at the top of the draft this year. So we'll see. They're in cap hell. They got to move some people. We'll see how it goes down. Another Bus One member this week, Jack, brought to you by the Original Flood Kitchen. It's one of my best friends in the sport of football, a guy that I've really been close with, consider him a great friend, a brother, and that's PJ Walker. Listen, there's no other quarterback that's like this guy. He has done it the long way, the hard way. Elizabeth, New Jersey, Temple football, not a lot of offers, undersized. Colts practice squad, on and off, cut probably a dozen times. XFL, would have been the MVP. Signs here, doesn't play here. Teddy Bridgewater comes in, wins a game the first year. Then the next year, they bring Sam Darnold in. He comes in, wins a game. They bring Cam Newton in. PJ comes back in, wins another game. This year, multiple quarterbacks. You got to draft one. You trade for one. Sam Darnold's still here. PJ's still here. And, preseason throws like 2 picks or didn't have a good game against New England. We didn't play well as a team in the preseason. Oh, PJ Walker, blah, blah, blah. All the media, all that stuff. He's not that good, all this crap. What he did in the game this weekend is really not a big deal. He does that every day of practice. Now, he did it in the game. It's truly amazing what he did. His numbers, I'll read them to you. 16 for 22 against the Bucs defense, 72% completion percentage for 177 yards, 2 TDs, and the best passer rating in the NFL with 126.5. That's PJ every day in practice. Point blank period. He does it every day. The throws he makes are absolutely ridiculous. His arm strength, his arm angles, the touch he can put on the ball, or the absolute rocket he can throw. Go look at those throws this week. They are ridiculous. I said on the sideline, he made the one throw across his body to DJ Moore going right to left. And I said, well, I just want him a couple more years in the league because those plays like that is enough to keep you in. Now, the way you play like that, that's the way he played doesn't buy you a couple of years in the league. It buys you a second contract, third contract. So I know PJ's up for one this year. I wish him. I mean, he's one of my great friends. He'll be a Bus One member forever, and led us to victory, 21-3 over the Bucs. So he outdueled Tom Brady. You could say that. Pretty cool. He deserves it. And again, he's been doing that forever. It's just give him the opportunity, and he had a great game. The O-line played fantastic. The backs, everybody stepped up. It's tough. We lose Coach Rule, then you lose Christian McCaffrey back-to-back weeks. That's not easy stuff. And our team, and credit to Coach Wilkes and everybody involved to really get us to circle the wagons and get together and get a really big dub. So awesome for PJ, Bus One member for life too. No one under the bus, but I'll tell you this: I'm getting on the bus and I'm going to Miche. I was there tonight for dinner, Jack. Oh my God, the Utica greens mixed with filet tips. They make these Utica greens. It's like collard greens mixed with like Italian stuffing. And it's the most delicious thing you could ever, ever, ever eat. Oh my goodness. Now he's putting these filet tips in it. Oh my goodness. Utica Greens is Utica, New York is where Nick's from, the owner, the founder of Mia Miche, the best Italian food in the Charlotte area. And they all make these Utica Greens everywhere. It's kind of like the appetizer of the area. It's the cheesesteak of the area, right? They're very unique. It's like just an Italian, just unbelievable, kind of like what's left over hodgepodge, and it's so good. It's got a little spice, it's got a little meat, salty. It's so freaking good. So we were there tonight for dinner. The salads are massive. We got this huge bean and arugula salad with salmon, absolutely just huge. The chicken parm's ridiculous. I just love their menu. They have great service, great people, big TVs in there now. It was a beautiful night here in Charlotte. People are eating outside, just absolutely gorgeous. They have awesome specials. Check them out. Mia Miche, the official sponsor of Not For Long Media and the Colin Thompson Show. All right, Jack, we're going to pour some out, though. We're going to pour some out. Som Sleep, promo code Colin. Check them out. Get Som Sleep, guys. Get Som Sleep. Check them out. Again, the sleep product that changed my career, that I think has added time onto my career, added time onto my mind and my thoughts and my focus and how I sleep and how I approach things and attack things is all because of Som. They're freaking awesome. It is the best natural sleep product. It puts you down nice and light. It keeps you down and then rises you in the morning. And I'm ready to go. Not the groggy feeling when you're taking a sleep supplement. I think it helps me get in a rhythm sleeping wise. It helps me perform better mentally, physically. everything, because you're going to get better sleep. Sleep's really, truly the only one way to recover. So Som Sleep, check them out. Promo code Colin, Colin, the only way to spell Colin. Check them out, Som Sleep. We're going to pour some out to everybody who overreacted, Jack. Everybody who overreacted about Michael, who was it? The receiver.
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans, excuse me. We're going to pour some out, brought to you by Som Sleep. For all the fans, all the people that went crazy on Twitter because Mike Evans was signing something for a referee. Jack, what actually was it for?
So according to, I want to get his name right. I know I'm going to mispronounce this. It is Tom Pelissero, I think is how you pronounce it. Pelissero.
Yeah.
Mike Evans and side judge Jeff Lamberth both went to Texas A&M. And Lamberth was getting Evans' phone number to pass along to a golf pro to give Evans lessons per sources. Lamberth didn't have papers, so he borrowed it from another official. So that is the story.
Unbelievable. So Mike's just trying to get his golf game right. And they think he's over there signing stuff. They're putting rules out there. No referees can get signatures from players, all this stuff. Fantastic. I love it. I love it when it kind of blows up in people's faces here a little bit. The refs get a lot of grief, and I get it. I do think that's one takeaway from being in the NFL is I think the game moves so fast. It's hard to referee this game, and the ref at times it's not that great, right? It's no shocker, but I'm not going to sit here and say I blame them. This game is so fast. Guys are bigger, stronger than ever. There's so many rules now. Think about all the rules. What's a catch? What's not a catch? I do feel bad for them. I really do. They're not full-time either, which is really tough as well. It's hard to do that. You're an accountant or you're a school teacher or whatever, and then you got to just pick up on the weekend, fly to Arizona and ref the Arizona versus Panthers game. That's a tough gig. It's a great gig. I'm sure they love it. But yeah, they're people too, and they just want to work on the golf game in the offseason with Mike. I've had the pleasure to be around some awesome refs. They come and usually work our training camp. A group of them will come, and that's like their training camp too. They'll work a couple of our practices, and then they'll work our preseason game. They'll sit in on our meetings, help us with any questions we have, hand placement. They'll talk about things. Plus, they want to know what we're trying to get done too from the position, like how we do it, how it's coached. And then they'll chime up in the back and be like, Coach, I really wouldn't coach it that way. We're going to call flag if a guy does it. And it's really cool back and forth. So I enjoy that side of the game, the real professional side of it. And I've gotten to know some guys in the league, not on a first name basis, but we see each other and say hello because they spent a couple of days with us the last couple of years in training camp, different repping groups. So yeah, it's good for Mike. Maybe he can work on his golf game a little bit. Jack, are you a golfer, Jack? You got Commonwealth right near you. I don't see you as a golfer, Jack.
I tried. A lot of my close friends are really big into golfing. Like my entire friend group will spend their weekends going somewhere whenever they're back from school. But I've tried. It's something I need to work on more this upcoming summer. I'm sure it's just a need as you get older, you have to golf. It seems like so. It's something I'm gonna have to work on, but not really. I haven't golfed much now.
Patience, Jack. I'm a horrible golfer. I can hit a ball and look like a PGA Tour player the next one, and the next 4 shots I'm in the water, in the sand, and 4 putting. So. That's how it goes, but it's kind of tough doing a little bit of football and media company and all the other crazy crap I got going on too. So I'll stick for the media company right now in the football. That's enough to manage. So that's good stuff, Jack. No, I appreciate it. So I think for me, we got to go right to the bar of the week, Jack. SeatGeek, brought to you by SeatGeek, promo code Colin Thompson. All right, guys, it's the World Series. These tickets are expensive now. Pop in our promo code, $20 off any ticket over $50. Check them out. Promo code Colin Thompson. SeatGeek, the only app we use when we're buying tickets and going to games. I think if I want to try to sneak up for the game next Monday, Jack, we're off on Tuesdays. Would be great to go up there and just watch the Phillies game and come back Tuesday morning. We'll see. Play it by ear maybe. But the bar of the week brought to you by SeatGeek. I'm going to punch that promo code in, Jack, Colin Thompson. I'm going to punch that Colin Thompson in. COLINTHOMPSON and get $20 off because I have to, right? Going to the game. You absolutely have to. But the bar of the week this week is a place I kind of discovered. It's right next to our facility, Jack. Right next to our facility in Uptown Charlotte. That is Clutch Kitchen and Poorhouse. We call it Clutch. The place is really cool. Everyone's always talked about it before. I know a lot of people go there, and they've always talked about it. It's a great spot. People consistently go. But it's right in Uptown Charlotte. It's right between our practice bubble and our stadium. So if you're a sports fan and you want to sit outside and watch the players come out of practice and have a couple of drinks, you can do that. You can just kind of see the sights and take in the great weather that Charlotte has to offer this time of year, all year round, really. Absolutely love what they got going on inside. Just great. They got all the sports memorabilia up on the walls, pictures up on the walls, awesome TVs, great service. I'm going to get into that in a second, but a really great place that's in a great location. Like I said, located right between the stadium and our practice facility. So you can't beat it if you're a sports fan when you find a place to hang out outside, inside. Really cool spot. So food and ambiance for me. I didn't try the food. I heard it's good. The ambiance is great. So I'm going to go 4 out of 5. They have great outside seating. It's in a great little area there, Charlotte. So 4 out of 5 on the food and ambiance. The TVs are great. Big TVs all over. I watched one of the Phillies games there a couple weeks ago. I think it was against St. Louis in the wild card matchup. Great TVs. We're going to go 5 out of 5 on the TVs. They don't get much better than that. We're going to go 4 out of 5 on the cold beer, 4 out of 5 on the service, 17 out of 20 for Clutch Kitchen and Poorhouse in Uptown, Charlotte. The bar of the week brought to you by SeatGeek, promo code Colin Thompson. So that's another one, Jack. That's another episode down for us. Appreciate our friends over at Actions Over Words, Alec and the team in Cape, New Jersey. Jack's rocking the shirt today. Show us the shirt, Jack.
It's a crew neck sweater. Actions Over Words. I don't know if I can really.
Yeah, you can hold up
a little bit.
Stand up a little bit. Yeah,
beautiful crew neck. It's very comfortable. Highly would recommend it. 10 out of 10.
Okay, 10 out of 10. Jack rates it. 10 out of 10. Jack, we do bar of the week 20, Jack, not 10. So, yes, Actions Over Words, apparel.com. Check them out. Check. So you have you're clearing out the section behind you. You have one picture on the wall and it's behind your head. What is it?
It's just it's literally an autograph from Merrill Reese. I forget the exact, I believe it was his wife was a middle school teacher at my middle school. She was a sewing, Mrs. Reese. I think she was my sewing teacher. I honestly forget. I know she was there, but that's a little interesting fun fact. His wife is a teacher, home ec teacher, Keith Alley, or at least she was when I was there. But yeah,
people don't like Merle's style or his voice. I think it's fantastic.
Who hates Merrill Reese's voice?
I don't know about the voice, but some people are like, I've heard some people say it before. I'm not saying names, but I've heard several people say it doesn't really do it for me. I think he's great. I love the local broadcaster with the distinct voice. Could he do national? Maybe, but I think it's almost better when he's local. He's like, it's just legendary. Like you hear his voice. Like I still think of like, we can't get to the game. My dad puts the game on in the car because I have like a basketball game wherever, and we're like racing home to watch the game, but we got the dial turned up and we're listening to Merle Reese, or, people would mute the game and listen to Merle over the announcer sometimes. So pretty cool stuff. I'm a big Merle fan. He's a really nice guy. I got to meet him a couple of times. He signed his book for me. So really nice guy. And yeah, he's great. It'd be great to have him on the show. Maybe we'll get him on the show this offseason. So
great one.
Yeah. That's it for another episode of the Colin Thompson Show. Ken Cage. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. Talked about our matchups brought to you by Wealth Advisory Services, the World Series, the Rams and the Niners, Bus One, fudgekitchens.com. Check them out. Shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country. CMAC, of course, for life. Fit Flyers will definitely be Bus One for life for me, I hope. Please keep turning it around. PJ Walker. People say it's a coming out party. He's been doing this forever. Under the Bus, brought to you by our friends at Mi Amici, the best Italian food in Charlotte. Pour some out. Some sleep. Promo code Colin. Check them out. That's the rep people that were hating on those refs when the guy was just trying to work on his golf swing. That's all he was. Trying to get a little golf lessons with Mikey. And the bar of the week, Clutch Kitchen and Poorhouse, brought to you by SeatGeek. 17 out of 20, solid score. And then our friends over at Actions Over Words. That's Jack in the back. Anything from you, Jack, before we roll?
Nothing. I think we pretty much covered everything. A very eventful week. It will be exciting to watch the Phillies towards the end of this week. I'm sure our next recording will be right in the midst of that series, so it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out at that point in time. But it's pretty much it for me today.
It's going to be fun. It really is going to be fun to watch the Phillies in the World Series. It's great for the area. I always say it. My mom's got retail stores in the area. So I'm like, hey, our business is always better when the Phillies are in the playoffs, the Eagles are winning, teams are winning. Like the area just has a different little buzz to it, I think. So we have Leslie Goodell, a stashed interview that we did. I think I may release Leslie maybe at the beginning of the series on Friday morning, Jack. So people have something to listen to on the way to work. It's a quick listen, maybe 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes with Leslie, not that long. And we'll just go right into it. No crazy interview. Brian O'Grady joined us. Leslie and I become friends. We've worked together in the past. And she joins the show quite a bit, my show. And then for those dying for some more baseball talk, Breaking Bats, our podcast, with Brian O'Grady, with Justin Ayers, with Ryan Ripken, who's joining them once a week as well. Check them out. They do fantastic stuff during the playoffs. Big fan of what we got going on here at Not For Long Media. Two Girls, One Leagues, another podcast we have that's starting to really pick up, started to really get traction. I got a great picture where Fred Johnson. So the last two interviews, Fred Johnson and myself, we got pictures with this week. So that was cool. So I got to see Fred this weekend in Tampa. Here in Carolina. We play Tampa, of course. And then we have Aji's podcast. Check them out. Harry Mays, Jason Martinez. And then what else we got, Jack? Last but not least, we have, why am I drawing a blank? Breaking Bats, Colin Thompson Show, Aji's, Two Girls, One League. And we got more coming. There's two in the making. I can't talk about them right now, but there's two more in the making that are doing awesome things behind the scenes. So we'll have 6 by the new year, I'm convinced. So it's going to be fun. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Ken Cage was fantastic. I hope you guys join him. Thank you to our sponsors for supporting us, making this possible. And thank you for you guys for listening. Have a great day.